breast milk science. It's a thing, and it's our thing. We're By Heart. Our mission is simple: make the best infant formula in the world. We partnered with breast milk scientists, world-class doctors, and passionate parents to write a new recipe from scratch. And while we put a lot into By Heart, there's a long list of things you won't see on our ingredient list, like corn syrup, soy, or palm oil. Curious if By Heart is right for your baby? New customers can shop the starter pack and get 2 cans for the price of 1 at byheart.com/getstarted. This is a limited time offer. Additional terms and conditions apply.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code FACE at checkout. That's harrys.com, code FACE. Enjoy!
Welcome back to the Paranormal Girl Podcast. I am your host, Kristen. We are back with yet another fabulous episode. My guest returns for his second appearance on the show. The first time he was on, we discussed Mandela effect and the afterlife, and it was a wonderful conversation. Today's discussion is a bit more UFO-ish, as he has some strange personal experiences and thoughts to share on the topic. Before I bring him on, a word from today's supporter of the show. Ladies, are you ready to make the men in your life beach ready and turn their grooming game up a notch? This summer, give the gift of the Beard Hedger Pro Kit from Manscaped. With this game-changing tool, they can shape their beards like true beach babes and make heads turn wherever they go. Visit manscaped.com, use code PNG, and enjoy 20% off and free shipping. Surprise your favorite guy with the ultimate grooming upgrade and show them some love with Manscaped. It's time to tame his mane, ladies. And it all starts with the Beard Hedger. This trimmer has a rotary wheel that gives him 20 haircutting lengths, all with one guard, so no more messy drawers full of extra add-ons. And it's waterproof, so he can shave in the shower and avoid all that hair in the sink. So save your drawers, save your sink, and say goodbye to his stubble troubles. And get 20% off and free shipping with the code PNG at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code PNG. Manscaped Beard Hedger. 1 stroke, 1 guard, 20 lengths. My guest is the host of the Xtreme Paranormal Podcast. During today's chat, we discussed the focus of his newest season, Paranormal State by State. Very cool idea. We also talk UFOs, which these days I'm pretty keen to discuss if you have gathered yet. He has his own sightings of quickly moving unidentified objects in the sky. He shares some thoughts about ET's involvement in crop circles. And he has a rather unexpected story from his childhood of having seen a photo that he probably shouldn't have seen of debris we've always been told was nothing more than pieces from a weather balloon. Please enjoy my conversation with Mike from the Xtreme Paranormal Podcast.
Mike Xtreme, and I do the Xtreme Paranormal. And, I kind of been around everywhere. Currently live in Ohio. So up in Jim Harold land, which is something, there's other things in Ohio that I want to talk about today if possible. And, the Extreme Paranormal is basically, I look at it as an educational podcast as well as paranormal, to where it's learning and teaching. So, that's basically it. Currently, I'm doing all 50 states.
Where are you at right now? What did you just cover?
I've covered Alabama so far, and we are currently in Alaska.
In Alaska, yeah, that's a big old state. I can imagine there's more than enough material to pull up from there. There's some interesting cryptids in that area.
There is. I haven't got too far to those yet, but so far it's looking like every state's going to be like a three things for each state. But Alaska and Florida, I'm looking at doing 4 parts for both of those states.
Alaska and Florida. Wow. Yeah, Florida is huge with the paranormal. Huge. I got to talk to Christopher Balzano, and he's done quite a bit of work with the Florida Oogie Boogies and all kinds of weird stuff going on down there. Yeah, you'll have to check him out. Check out his book. I think it was called Ocala Forest. Haunted Ocala Forest. I don't know. I'll send it to you after we're done recording here.
Okay, perfect.
But really, really interesting expose of just all this paranormal stuff down in the area. Well, you really run the gambit for the topics that you cover on your show. I love the new idea. I love covering state by state and giving people just this really clear view of what they could come to expect if they should visit that state, or to pique somebody's interest about a state that they've never heard anything come out of. But you do really run the gambit on all of the topics that you cover on your show. What ultimately draws you to the ones that you do cover? What is it that speaks to you?
I try and stay away from, currently with all the 50 states, I'm trying to stay away from the more mainstream, like with New Hampshire, we already know Betty and Barney Hill. So I'm trying to stay away from that and put something new in there.
Right.
Like what's something that's not covered by the mainstream, like Alaska. I just learned they have the Alaskan Triangle.
Mm-hmm.
So that's new for me. It's like, cool. Let's talk about that. Let's dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know much about it. I know Mike Ricksecker talks a lot about Alaska Triangle. You might check him out, but I really don't know much about it at all. I know it's kind of like the Bermuda Triangle set in Alaska. That's about it. Yeah. The extent of my knowledge on it. Well, very cool. Well, you've been at this for a while. I think you and I are kind of neck and neck here. What's with everything that you have covered to date, everything that you've come across, having been at it for so long, you must have landed on certain conclusions and different theories. And I'm just curious, what has been the biggest personal transition for you? Something that maybe you thought one way about at the beginning, and now that you're at this stage in the journey, you think totally different about, or something that's changed your ideas?
I think it's just the more I do research and the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. It's leaving me more questions than answers. And I love that. And I put it to my listeners, if I'm in your state or you're aware of this, if I mispronounce this, if you're aware of this, let me know, teach me.
Right.
So I find myself as more of the student at times. And I think that's just amazing.
Yeah, I learned so much from the listeners and from those guest chats. Those are the moments that my mind has been blown. I'm like, what? I didn't see that coming up to this. I've never heard of that. That's crazy. Like, those are the kinds of facts that I really like to get. Well, you mentioned you'd like to talk about Ohio. At some point down the road, you will be covering Ohio and their paranormal and entities on your show. But you said you had a couple of things you wanted to talk about Ohio today. What you got?
Well, this is me just being overly curious. So here's where curiosity gets the best of me. We had, I believe it was 1941, you brought up Cape Girardeau, Missouri. And Missouri is my home state.
Mm-hmm.
So we had the crash there. And then we had 6 years later, we had Roswell. Now, everything goes up, everything from both, and probably more that I haven't found out yet, went up to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base here in Dayton, Ohio, which is about 4 hours from me.
Yeah,
so it's
it all ends in Dayton
for
some reason. What's going on up there?
And now I'm trying to, maybe it's me, maybe I'm overthinking it, but I'm trying to connect the dots. Like, you've got two things that we're aware of that end up in Dayton. Then we have that SpaceX program, and now they're trying to put that stationed out of Dayton. What's going on in Dayton?
Yeah.
Maybe
because is it because it's so central? Do you think maybe?
That's a theory.
Mm-hmm.
That's a possibility, but I don't know.
Okay. All right. So just Mike over here trying to connect the the dots of why all of the UFOs are taken to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a couple of Air Force bases. If you start going through the history and the backlog of UFO sightings and all of that, there's like a handful of these Air Force bases that these materials are taken, but not really taken, but they're taken there. And it's just a few. It's just a few of them. Yeah. Well, you have spent a great deal of effort diving into various UFO and ET topics, like you said, Cape Girardeau. You did cover Betty and Barney Hill. You did talk about Roswell. But you, sir, have some very interesting personal experiences with this subject. I would love to get into it. Yes, I would love to hear those stories.
Absolutely. Did you have any questions before I get into it, or just jump right into it?
No, just jump right into it. I am all ears.
Okay. Well, from a small kid on, probably from about age 10 on, I've experienced missing time. At one point, I spent a lot of time in Northern California at my grandma's house. And we were cleaning her closet or something. And we came across all these old photos that she had from her first husband. And I can say his name is Rick. He's long passed. And he was actually at White Sands Missile Proving Ground in New Mexico when Roswell happened.
Wow.
I'm not asking questions of where these pictures came from, but they were actual pictures of the wreckage.
Ooh. So you saw these pictures. You held them in your hands.
I did.
All right. You gotta spill to us. What was in the picture? What did you see? What did it look like? A weather balloon? Was it tinfoil?
It was not a weather balloon. It was definitely not that. You could tell it was an aircraft, but not like a Cessna plane or anything else. There was a partial of what you could see. I thought it was like a doll or a small child, but could it have been one of the aliens? Very possible. But it wasn't like a full, like CSI shot like you're going to get now. Right. I don't think that they had that in 47.
Well, back in the 50s, I think, one of the cover-ups was that, we were dropping test dummies out of of a plane. That's what you saw, even though we said right before this that there weren't any bodies, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, people just wouldn't leave it alone. There were bodies. So they're like, yeah, it's test dummies. They were able to say something like that for some reason because these, whatever it was that people were seeing, didn't look human. Maybe looked a little different, little off. Yeah. Now, were you clear that it was the Roswell debris, or do you think it could have been the other crash in the area, the Corona crash?
Nope. According to Grandma, that was from Roswell.
Wow. Wow. Gosh, it would be great to get our hands on those photos. I know how those things get lost to time.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
And now the house is no longer there. It's
Oh.
a parking lot. So I don't know whatever happened to
it. Man, the cover-up of Roswell will go to no end. Okay, so that was your very first kind of interaction with this phenomenon? Or were
Yes.
there anything? Okay. From that point moving forward, what took place?
Well, where she lived, there was a church next door, and she lived on a couple acres. So it was like all just like flat land and everything else. It was not long after I saw that picture that, I mean, the entire light just lit up. And we both went outside and saw something just floating in the air.
Okay, so
And
the sky was lit up.
Yes.
And there was an object just hovering.
Just hovering.
Okay, go on.
And out of nowhere, it just left. Just gone.
Huh.
At a speed that you cannot even imagine. It's like, and she had worked around aircraft her entire life. And she's like, I've never seen anything move that fast.
Mm-hmm.
She couldn't recognize what it was.
Wow. What year was that?
Let's see. That would have been probably about 88, 89.
Okay. Yeah, a little too early for it to have been, a drone.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I may be wrong, but I think the drones even back in the 80s were still like airplane size. Like drones used to be just unmanned airplanes. That the size of them.
Yeah, they were big.
That was it. Yeah. All right, you got me intrigued. I'll bite. What else?
Living in Arizona, it's a huge hot spot. You have the Superstition Mountains out there, and that's a known UFO hotspot.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing things out there. I was not out there for the Phoenix Lights, unfortunately. But yeah, me and the girlfriend at the time, we were out by the mountains and saw something. Couldn't tell you what it was, but it was not an airplane. It was not, we don't know what it was, but it was flying and it made no noise.
Okay. How was it behaving? Was it flying in a single direction? Was it very low? Was it high up? Was it illuminated?
It had the V shape and the lights underneath.
Oh.
And it was above the mountain, but about how far? It's like, it seems a little low for any airplane to be flying that close to a mountain. And it was just kind of just creeping along, just kind of doing its thing.
Okay, so it was going a little too slow.
A little too slow, yeah.
To be an airplane. Okay, and that's such an odd shape. I know that we have machines now that are that shape. They're triangular and they look so weird. But yeah, that's it's a very distinct shape. It sticks out to people who see these unidentified flying objects in the sky that are triangle shape. It's just kind of odd.
Yeah.
Sticks out. Yeah. All right. And did your girlfriend run for the hills at that point? Is that what happened?
Know what to think. She was just like, what is that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it's flying, but that's all I know. She's like, I've never seen an airplane like that before.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't either, and it's moving way too slow.
What's so cool, like, the what I'm seeing from your stories is every one of these so far, they're essentially shared experiences.
Mm-hmm.
These aren't things that you can look back on and be like, well, it was just me sitting there and I saw a thing. I could have been tired or, crazy or whatever. No, like other people were witnessing this stuff too.
Yeah.
How important do you think it is to like full disclosure? We might reach there at some point. We might get there. But how important do you think it is to this massive discovery of this topic that we have stories like that, shared experiences? Or do you think that singular experiences, people who are just reporting, it was just me, it was in the middle of the night, I saw this thing happened. Do you think those are just as valid to the discovery of what's actually going on?
Absolutely. It's very important.
The shared experiences.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And even singular experiences, because it's, there's so many ways. I mean, you've got MUFON, you've got the other groups that you report it and they investigate.
Mm-hmm.
They can stamp it. Okay, that's legit. That's the real deal,
Yeah.
And I think full disclosure needs to happen.
Absolutely. Yes.
It's since like the mid 90s, I think it's been. How many Hollywood movies have come out? How many, radio shows? I mean, like even with Art Bell and George Norrie and all them. And now how many podcasts are coming out with this? And they're still trying to hide things. It's like, why? This ain't the 40s. Like,
it's strange. It's strange to, since 1947, 1941 with Cape Girardeau. You suggested that story. Since that year, they have been desperately trying, scrambling to hide this stuff, and it's so strange to me to see the same thing taking place, almost 80 years later. Like, how long are we going to do this? And you're absolutely right. All of these shows, all of these experts, scientists getting on the horn and saying, no, there's something actually taking place here. Like, how long are we going to do this? Like, I feel like we as a society, we understand, like the vast majority of us understand that something is going on, that there are things being covered up here, and we just want the truth. I mean, are we ready for it?
I think so. You have that one, I don't remember his name, but he's the whistleblower from somewhere.
David Grush.
Yes, him. He's like, yeah, we have alien craft and alien bodies.
Mm-hmm. Well, did you catch that, though? He would not say alien or extraterrestrial. He would not say, he just said non-human.
Yeah, he said non-human. Mm-hmm. He was very specific about that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, good for him, but he's choosing his words carefully.
Absolutely, yes.
Which, if I was in his position, I would do the same thing.
Yeah. Well, he does have to tread carefully because of the process, how he chose to do this. Like, he can get in quite a bit of trouble if he is found at the end of this to have lied about anything. So, his that interview was just so fascinating, so interesting. And I hear that there's more to that interview that is going to be released. Maybe that was just a rumor. I don't know. But I'll be there. I'll be there to watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Breast milk science. It's a thing, and it's our thing. We're By Heart. Our mission is simple. Make the best infant formula in the world. We partnered with breast milk scientists, world-class doctors, and passionate parents to write a new recipe from scratch. Our patented protein blend includes 2 of the most abundant proteins in breast milk at levels closer to the real thing. We're also the first U.S.-made infant formula to use organic grass-fed whole milk, not skim. And we ran the largest clinical trial by a new infant formula company in 25 years, proving benefits like less spit up, softer poops, and easier digestion versus a leading infant formula. And while we've put a lot into By Heart, there's a long list of things you won't see on our ingredient list, like corn syrup, soy, or palm oil. Curious if By Heart is right for your baby? New customers can shop the starter pack and get 2 cans for the price of 1 at byheart.com/getstarted. That's 1 free can at byheart.com/getstarted. This is a limited time offer. Additional terms and conditions apply. Try it risk-free. That's the By Heart promise.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code FACE at checkout. That's harrys.com, code FACE. Enjoy!
Welcome to the future of legal THC, Mood's THCA flower. It's the most potent breakthrough in the world of federally legal cannabis. And now you have 10 high-inducing strains of this smokable flower to choose from at HelloMood.com, the best online dispensary that ships discreetly to your door. Great for beginner and veteran users, the experts at Mood have tailored different strains for curated moods. From euphoric and energized to creative and focused, Mood delivers the highest quality THC products you can trust. However you like to take THC, Mood enhances awe-inspiring experiences with versatile products that go with whatever mood you're ready for, like their great-tasting gummies, convenient pre-rolls, classic flower, and so much more. Try Mood's new THCA flower today, and for 20% off your first order plus a free pre-roll of THCA flower, go to HelloMood.com and use promo code podcast20. That's HelloMood.com, promo code podcast20 for 20% off your order and a free THCA pre-roll.
Well, on the note of the government covering things up, when we set up this interview, you mentioned that you would be very interested to talk about a recent subject that I just covered, crop circles, and give me your thoughts on that. And I'm very excited to hear it. So, what's the UFO ET involvement in crop circle formation, in your opinion?
Well, I think Dave and Doug, we're going to start that, all good or bad decisions come from two friends having a drink in the bar. And then they were proven to be false. Did they attempt to do things? Sure, why not? As you said in your episode, there was a group of people that were asking for it. It happened, 500 yards away?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at the end of White Crow. Yeah, Operation White Crow.
Yeah. So on that, I think the ET alien UFO portion is maybe it's a signal or a map that they're mapping for each other. Like maybe it's a territorial thing. Like, hey, we were here first. You can have this field over here.
Marking their territory. Okay. All right.
I think in a way that's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Another theory that I'm kind of working on is different universes and different galaxies.
Okay.
Like they said there's like 8 different races of aliens. Maybe it's they have their different areas that they all come from.
How are you saying that you can designate like different species based on the formation?
Possibly.
Okay.
I think that would come back to like the carvings in the walls in like ancient Egypt and things like that. Maybe it's a way of them communicating with us and with each other. Like, hey, human people, we're here.
What is the reason behind doing it? Like, what's the ultimate goal here? It's just for maybe communication. That's it, or is there a specific motivation to do this?
I'm going to say communication right now.
Okay.
But I'm keeping my mind open to more. I mean, I've seen pictures of crop circles. I couldn't see how 2 guys doing that would be that precise.
Okay. A lot of folks would agree with you. Well, if it's ET and UFOs doing this, which I've seen some very intriguing videos. The one that pops to mind is the Oliver's Castle video of a crop circle being formed by something above it. It's an interesting one. If it is that is taking place, what explains the anomalous activity that take place in and around the crop circles? Do you know what I mean? Like the people have claimed miraculous healings, and there's physical things like malfunctions of equipment, and there seems to be a strange. What it reminds me of is like ley lines where they intersect, and you can go to those House of Oddities where the floor is all janky and like those kinds of places. That's what it reminds me of.
One thing I was just actually looking at this week is crop circles are the Earth's magnetic forces doing that. I think that could be a part of it, but I'm not 100% sold on that.
Okay.
Like equipment malfunctioning, I don't know, like if airplanes, their equipment goes wonky, I would say that could be it, but I'm keeping an open mind on that one. I'm still kind of on it's a communication and possibly a map.
Okay.
From our otherworldly friends.
Okay. So I take it you disagree with the 80-20 split that Colin Andrews finally landed on.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Are you more of a 100-0 split?
I'm going to go with, yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay.
I think it's our otherworldly friends doing something. It's a way of communicating, maybe with us or with each other, or it's a map for them. You know, it's extraterrestrial hieroglyphics, only on a huge scale.
Well, I do I agree with Colin's final assessment, because what he was ultimately getting at with that split is that it's not necessarily that 80% is just being done by hoaxers. End of story. What he was trying to say was with human consciousness, that it can be man-made and still being affected by something outside of them. So it's not like they're possessed or anything, but they're, in a lot of these circle makers who have come forward, they do describe these strange compulsions and impulses to create these magnificent designs out of nowhere. That they've shown up as hoaxers to create a circle because they just like to do it. They've shown up to site and suddenly had a compulsion to make something completely different upon arrival. And that's what they did. Just last minute went and did these things. And then they describe all these anomalous things, activities happening while they are working on the circle as well. So there seems to be this very big influence taking place on both sides, whether it's being made by UFOs flying over it or people being affected through their consciousness by something, I don't know, something bigger than them. I find that very interesting. So in that consideration, I do fall in line with the 80-20 split. I'm all right with that.
I'd go more probably 90-10.
Okay.
Because you have the Earth's magnetic field, you'd have to take into consideration the ley lines.
Mm-hmm.
There's something there, but what I don't think we're gonna know.
You'll have to. I didn't even touch ley lines. I couldn't go there, and I did not dive deeply into anything magnetic. You ought to cover it on your show. I'd be curious to learn about it.
Do that.
Yeah. All right. I only had one other question regarding crop circles, and then we'll leave it at that. Was the government covering it up, and why?
Yes, and why? That's going to be a question for the ages. Why do they cover everything up?
Well, hopefully Grush keeps it coming, and Gary Nolan keeps it coming, and Avi Loeb, and just everybody who's working diligently on this mystery. They keep it coming until there's just nowhere left to hide, and we finally get some answers. That would be nice.
Oh, it would be great.
Yeah. All right, sir. It is time for final questions, final thoughts, and then we'll take it out. So, on your show, you had a really interesting episode where you spoke about numbers and their significance.
Yes.
All right. I would love if you could tell us a story about a time that a number or numbers played a significant role in your life, and why is this something we should pay attention to?
The number 13, I've always been drawn to it. For some reason, people think 13 is an unlucky number. For me, it's a lucky number. And, you get athletes. I only want this number because they've had it since whenever. And it just comes down to, I think, a personal preference, but also different numbers represent different things to different people. That's just it. It's why is there 50 states, not 51? If you add numbers in a certain way, do they come back to a certain thing? Like And I think people should be aware of them to a point, but not be consumed by it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. People apply meaning to certain numbers, repeating numbers, a certain collection of them. Like I often see 1111. You know, that's a pretty
exactly. There's like 1111, 333. Is that a way for people on the other side to communicate with us? Possibly.
Sure.
I think that falls under your personal belief.
All right. Next question. What is an interesting fact about you that people might be surprised to learn?
Probably some of the best years I spent were in the military, and I've seen and experienced different things while there.
Okay. You were in the Army?
I was, yes.
What was your role in the Army?
Originally, it was medic.
Oh, no kidding. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
See, I'm surprised to learn it.
Absolutely loved it. And getting ready for deployment during a training exercise ended up destroying my knee.
Oh.
So I was not fit for deployment.
Oh.
And then I ended up driving a desk for a while.
Oh, well, I am sorry to hear that. But you had those years, and you can always look back.
Absolutely.
And you've always got that. That's very cool. Well, and thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, final question. So you begin skeptically. You try to remain as open-minded as possible on all of the subjects that you cover.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You have been exploring and researching it for some time, as we talked about, let alone having those personal experiences. What is one topic or specific story that you are now 100% is real? There isn't a doubt in your mind. And what led you to that conclusion?
There is life after this one. And that comes from having 2 personal experiences with that. It's great. You get to see family, friends, and that just comes from experience.
Yeah, that's something you cannot deny anymore. You can't deny it because you've been there. And listeners, please do go back and check out our original conversation, March 22nd last year. He tells those NDE stories, and they were just fascinating. All right. So we've already talked about what's coming up next for your show. You're going to be talking about Alaska and do a multi-part series on that. So listeners can look forward to that. Where can folks find and follow you, and where can they tune into Xtreme Paranormal?
Where they can tune in is, if they can find you, they can find me.
Okay.
Pretty much everywhere.
Okay.
I actually have my note here. If you're on Twitter, I'm on there. I try and be active on there as much as possible. It's just at Xtreme13 Podcast, and then Xtreme13podcast@gmail.com.
Very cool. And to wrap us up, do you have any final thoughts, words of wisdom, or a piece of advice you would like to leave with everyone?
Always keep an open mind. That's always. Keep your eyes on the skies, keep an open mind, follow your gut instinct. If you think what you saw, then you saw it. You experienced it.
All right. And Mike, you're going to stay on with me after we cut. We are heading backstage. We're going to have a little chat about shadow people and your personal experiences with them. But for now, I want to thank you so much. So much for joining me today. It's been fun. It was good to see you, kid.
It's been a lot of fun, and thank you for having me back.
Thank you guys for tuning in today, and thank you to Mike for joining me once again. Take a listen to his show, Xtreme Paranormal Podcast. Follow him on the socials. I've got all of his deets below. Now, Mike has shared some incredible stories with me over the years. He shared some of those today, as well as on our previous discussion on episode 30. If you are interested in hearing about his near-death experiences, that episode would be a good one to check out next. But following today's conversation, he joined me backstage to discuss experiences he's had with shadow people. And one encounter that he had with the Hat Man caught me off guard. It was freaky. You can catch that story and other exclusive content at patreon.com/paranormgirlpod. Become a patron for as little as $3 a month. By doing so, you are supporting the show, supporting everything that I'm attempting to do here, and you can be a contributing voice on subjects for upcoming seasons and special events, or first to know of very special guests I've got scheduled to join me, and first to submit your questions to said guests. And thank you to the folks who have already become a patron. I really, really appreciate it. Yet another way to support the show is, of course, by following at Paranorm Girl Pod on all socials. That'll wrap today's episode. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week. I will see y'all back here Tuesday. Stay safe, keep the nightlight on, and sleep with one eye open.